It was a cold and dark Friday night. I had just finished my late shift at the gas station and was making my way home. As I stepped out into the icy air, I pulled my coat tighter around me and quickly made my way to my car. I was exhausted and just wanted to get home and crawled into bed. As I started my car and began my drive, I suddenly heard my phone buzz. I glanced at it, thinking it was my boss asking me to come in for another shift, but instead, I saw a number I didn't recognize. Without thinking, I answered the call. "Hello?" I said, my voice tired and monotone. There was no response, just heavy breathing on the other end. I almost hung up, thinking it was some sort of prank call, but then I heard a faint whisper. "Help me." My heart started racing as I tried to focus on the voice. It sounded like a woman, and she sounded scared. "Who is this? What's going on?" I asked, my voice now shaking with fear. "He's coming for me. Please, help me," the voice pleaded. I could feel my hands starting to sweat as I kept the phone against my ear. I didn't know what to do, but I couldn't just hang up on this person. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins as I tried to calm the person down. I asked her where she was and what was happening, but all she said was that she was in danger and needed help. Suddenly, the call dropped. I tried calling back, but the number was disconnected. I was left sitting in my car, heart racing and feeling more scared than I ever had in my life. What if this person was telling the truth? What if they were being attacked or in a dangerous situation? Without hesitation, I called the police and told them about the call. They asked me for the number that had called me, but when I tried to look for it, it was no longer in my call history. I couldn't believe it. Was this some sort of joke? I started to question if I had imagined the whole thing. But then, I heard a knock on my window. It was a police officer asking me to step out of my car. They explained that they had tracked the call and it had come from inside my car. My heart dropped as I remembered hearing the heavy breathing on the other end of the phone. I knew I hadn't imagined it. The police searched my car, but they didn't find anything. They told me it was probably just a prank call and I shouldn't worry about it. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I drove home, constantly checking my rearview mirror, feeling like I was being watched. That night, I couldn't sleep. The events of the night kept replaying in my mind, and I couldn't get the woman's voice out of my head. I decided to do some research to see if I could find any information about the phone number that had called me. What I discovered chilled me to the bone. The phone number belonged to a woman who had gone missing months ago. Her case was still unsolved, and she was never found. The more I dug, the more I found out about her. She had been a regular customer at the gas station I worked at and had disappeared one night after leaving work. The police suspected that she had been kidnapped and possibly killed. I couldn't believe that the phone number from the strange call belonged to this missing woman. I decided to reach out to the police and tell them about the call. They were skeptical at first, but after I showed them my phone records, they took my statement seriously. They asked me to keep an eye out for anything suspicious and to report any strange phone calls or incidents. For weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I started to see things out of the corner of my eye, and I would hear strange noises at night. I couldn't be sure if it was just my imagination or if something was really going on. But then, one night, as I was getting ready for bed, I heard my phone buzz again. This time, it was the same number calling me. My heart started racing again as I answered the call. "Hello?" I said, my voice trembling. This time, there was a voice on the other end, but it wasn't the woman from before. It was a deep, sinister voice that sent shivers down my spine. "You shouldn't have told the police." "Now, you're next," the voice said before the call abruptly ended. I immediately called the police, but when they arrived, there was no trace of anyone or any calls on my phone. They told me I was probably just being paranoid, but I knew what I had heard. From that night on, I made sure to never be alone and always have someone checking on me. I still don't know what exactly happened that night, but I do know that I will never answer a strange call again. And I always make sure to lock my car doors, just in case someone or something is watching me. It was a dark and stormy night, and I was all alone in my small apartment. I live by myself, and I'm not gonna lie, it can get pretty lonely sometimes. But that night, I was feeling especially lonely. I decided to call my friend Lisa, but her number wasn't working for some reason. I must have dialed it wrong, so I grabbed her number from my contacts again and tried calling. But when I heard the voice that answered, it wasn't Lisa's. "Hello?" the voice said, sounding distorted and scratchy. Hi. Is this Lisa?" I asked, confused. "No, this is not Lisa. Who is this?" I thought maybe I got the wrong number again, so I apologized and hung up. But then my phone rang again, and it was the same number. "Hello?" I answered cautiously. "I know who you are," the voice said, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. "Excuse me? Who is this?" I asked, now feeling a bit scared. "You shouldn't have called this number. You should have never called me," the voice said, and then the line went dead. I was shaking now, not sure what to do. I tried calling Lisa again, but her number still wasn't going through. I started to feel like something was really wrong, and I couldn't explain why. I tried to shake it off and distract myself with some TV, but every time my phone rang, I jumped. In the midst of my fear and confusion, my doorbell suddenly rang. I cautiously walked to the door, my heart pounding with each step. I looked through the peephole, but I couldn't see anyone. I was about to dismiss it as just the wind, but then my phone rang again. Without thinking, I answered it. "I see you," the voice said, and I could hear someone breathing heavily on the other end. I was completely freaked out now, and I dreaded looking through the peephole again. But I gathered up all my courage and looked. I saw a dark figure standing outside my door. I quickly turned off all the lights and waited, hoping whoever it was would go away. After what felt like hours, I mustered up the courage to check again. But this time, the figure was gone. I was about to breathe a sigh of relief when I remembered my phone was still on. I picked it up to turn it off, but before I could, it rang again. "You can't hide from me," the voice said, and my blood ran cold. I turned off my phone and just sat there, trembling and unsure of what to do. I was about to call the police when I heard a loud bang on my door. I screamed and jumped off the couch, my heart racing. "Open the door," the voice yelled, and I could hear banging and kicking. Trembling, I ran to my room and locked the door behind me. I quickly called the police, and while I waited for them to arrive, I could hear the intruder talking on the phone outside my door. "You'll never find me," the voice said. "But I'll always find you." My entire body was shaking with fear, and I could feel tears streaming down my face. I didn't know what was happening or why this person was after me. And then it hit me, it was because of the wrong number I had called. The police arrived and caught the intruder outside my door. It turns out, it was someone who had gotten my number by mistake and was angry that I had called them so many times. They had no intention of actually hurting me, but their creepy phone call and appearance at my door had left me traumatized. I told myself I would never make that mistake again, but the memory of that night haunted me for a long time. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, and every time my phone rang from an unknown number, I would feel a chill run down my spine. It was a true wrong number horror story that I would never forget, and it taught me to always double-check before calling someone I didn't know. I never thought I would have a horror story to tell. I'm just a regular guy, with a regular job and a regular life. But one random night, everything changed when I received a call from a wrong number. I was home alone, watching TV and enjoying some pizza when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Hello?" I said, trying to sound confident. There was no response, just heavy breathing on the other end. I thought it was a prank call, but then a voice spoke. "Help me," the voice whispered. I was taken aback. It sounded like a woman, but she sounded scared. I asked her what was wrong, but she just kept begging for help. I could feel my heart racing as I listened to her pleas. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to hang up and forget the whole thing, but something inside me told me I had to help this person. So, I asked where she was and she gave me an address. It was only a few blocks away, so I decided to go check it out. As I approached the address, I felt a sense of dread wash over me. The house was old and dilapidated, with cracked windows and peeling paint. I hesitated for a moment, but then I remembered the woman's voice and my curiosity got the best of me. I cautiously stepped inside the house and immediately felt a chill run down my spine. It was dark and musty, and I could hear creaking floorboards as I made my way through the corridor. I found the source of the voice in the basement. There was a woman, chained to the wall and covered in bruises. She looked like she had been there for days. My heart broke for her, and I immediately went to unchain her. But as I got closer, she suddenly turned towards me with an eerie smile on her face. I froze, not sure what to do. Then she started laughing, a haunting cackle that filled the room. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, still laughing. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear as she continued to laugh and taunt me. And then, she disappeared. Just like that. It was like she was never there. I ran out of that house as fast as I could. I didn't care about the woman anymore, I just wanted to get away from that place. As I left, I heard the phone ringing again. I didn't answer it, I just ran and never looked back. I don't know who that woman was or what happened to her. All I know is that I'll never forget that night. It still gives me chills when I think about it, and I can't help but wonder if it was all just a sick joke or if something truly evil was at play. One thing is for sure, it was a true wrong number horror story that I will never forget. And now, whenever I get a call from an unknown number, I can't help but feel a tinge of fear and wonder if it's her calling again.